Hello, my name is Michelle Forst. I was born in October of 1984. I'll go ahead and spare you the math. This makes me a sprightly 33-year-old. Let me begin by telling you a little bit about my story in the present. I've been married for over 12 years to my husband Nathan. We have two daughters named Julia and Lyndon. Julia is 11 years old and Lyndon is 6. We also have a 2-year-old black German shepherd named Nira. Let's back up now to where my story begins. Like many of you, I've been a Christian for as long as I can remember. I was born in a Christian house, and some of my earliest memories involve the Methodist Church. We lived in the city of Valencia, California, just outside of LA. My mom and I regularly attended the Valencia United Methodist Church. I even attended preschool at the church. One of my mom's favorite stories to tell is of a church gathering where I rushed up to her in a panic when the pastor and his wife had arrived, exclaiming, "Mom, God and Jesus are here." Okay, so maybe I wasn't clear on the details yet, but I knew that big things were happening at church and I couldn't wait to be a part of it. When I was 10, my family moved from California to Missouri. We moved to a small town named Stratford. As I was entering middle school, my mom and I started attending Dale Street UMC. Soon, I went through confirmation classes and became active in the youth. This was a turning point for me in my spiritual walk. I was invited to attend church camp for the first time. While there, I was overcome with a real conviction that Christ died for my sins. I had always heard it and believed it, but it was at this camp that I truly got it. I dedicated my life to Christ that summer. During my youth group years, I actively attended every youth event, church camp, mission trip, lock-in, and fundraiser. The youth group became my central group of friends, even though we all attended various schools. I spent more time with this group than I did with my school friends. Little did I know that they would be my rock during one of the most heartbreaking times of my life. It was the day I got my driver's license. I was on cloud 9. I was invincible. I think I smiled all day. After school, I was at my babysitting job when the news came on. They were live on the scene of an accident in Stratford. A truck had been hit by a train. They were showing footage of the scene. It was a rusty old truck that was smashed and crunched to about a third of its original size. I had a deep, horrible feeling that I knew that truck. As soon as I could, I got home. My mom was waiting for me at the door. I could tell she was barely holding it together. I asked my mom, "Who was it?" She hugged me close and said that it was a boy from my class named Almus Wilson. He was a good friend of mine. My community was shaken and heartbroken. I was in shock. The grief that followed was so intense, something I had not felt in my 16 years of life. My church family pulled me in, cried with me, counseled me, and encouraged me to find the good. My school friends and I learned a valuable lesson. Don't take this life for granted. We aren't invincible. Life is precious. We all watched God use that tragedy to work miracles in our small town. Fast forward a few years and you find me at 18. I was dating Nathan and about to graduate from high school. I had intentions of going to college and becoming an elementary school teacher. When I began taking the early education classes that I would need to become a teacher, I realized that I actually did not have the aptitude for that career. I knew deep down that teaching was not for me. I fell into a state of total confusion. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. Apart from being a teacher, all I ever wanted to do was to get married and be a mother. Well, all right, let's do that. Nathan and I got married in June of 2005. I was 20 at the time, not even old enough to legally toast the wine we had at our wedding. We moved to Vista, Arkansas shortly after. Nathan had taken a job in Bentonville and I had a bank job in Rogers. By December of 2005, we found ourselves pregnant. That was a shocker, and actually, we were very upset at first. Broke newlyweds that haven't even figured out how to live together yet are going to have another human to care for? What? Shortly after announcing our pregnancy, I became very ill. When I started to rapidly lose weight, the doctor became concerned. I was given IV fluids several times and was eventually admitted to the hospital at the 12th week of my pregnancy. As an inexperienced 21-year-old, I thought that this baby was trying to kill me. I had a really hard time loving the gift that God had given me because up to this point, it had only caused me pain. My hospital stay lasted for 2 days. By the 15th week of my pregnancy, I was feeling much better. I was able to breathe a sigh of relief because maybe I could do this. My faith was tested again when the day came to deliver Julia. During my labor, Julia's heart rate was dropping dangerously low. I ended up having an emergency C-section. I was terrified. It had never occurred to me that I would need to have surgery or that my baby would be in danger. Thankfully, they had Julia out and crying within a matter of minutes. That pregnancy prepared me for my second pregnancy. I knew going into it that I would probably get just as sick. I'd probably feel just as miserable. Sure enough, that was the case. The good thing was that I was ready for it. My mindset was different this time. I knew that I could power through it. I knew that it was temporary, and I knew God would provide. In the following years, Nathan and I got wrapped up in parenting and work, and we didn't give a whole lot of thought to the church. We tried to go on holidays, but we always felt like maybe we weren't doing enough. We decided to try and find a church that would suit our family. Nathan was born and raised in the Catholic Church, so any over-the-top services, contemporary services we tried were very uncomfortable for him. About 5 years ago, we found First United Methodist Church, Vista. It felt like coming home to me. I knew I wanted to be a part of this church. Over the last 5 years, I've slowly immersed myself in the church. I knew from experience that to feel connected to a church, I had to be involved. I was hesitant at first because I am very selfish with my family time. I want to eat dinner at the dinner table with my family every night. I want to spend weekends with my family doing family-ish things. In the last year, though, I have learned that there is a balance. I want my girls to look back on their life and remember church being a large part of their childhood. I want their memories to include Sunday school, youth group, church camp, and mission trips. I want them to see that their mom throws her heart into what she believes in. This church is what I believe in, friends. We are a loving, active group of believers. God is moving in this place. We all have the same goal. We all want to see our church succeed and to thrive. This is our time to make that happen. Thank you for being my church family. I love and cherish each of you. Thank you for listening to my story.